Okay, here is my here's my first Atari 2600 with TV attachment. Of course, you have to. Comes with one of these things. You can either switch it to a TV if you want cable, or game if you want to play your game, and you gotta put one of these things on it with the little pointy piece on it. Otherwise, you can't connect it up to your TV, because this is how you run these things with video. And of course, for starters, I got some games out on top, such as Pong, hockey, soccer, volleyball, basketball, 1 to 4 people, and of course paddles for Pong and stuff. They're self-explanatory, really. But before I get into that, I got another game that's already out, bowling, and that's pretty fun. You can make it so the ball spins or doesn't spin and goes straight, or you can control your ball so it goes down the lanes and things. All very easy to understand games. But you guys remember the Wii balance board, right? All the fun stuff. You're supposed to stand on it to exercise and things like that. Here's the not a prototype, but the original that started it. Is this thing, the Atari Joy board that has. It's Mogul Maniac is the game that it was bundled with, and underneath here, up in here, I don't know if you can see it, right in there, right there, you can plug in your controller into the balance board, or Joy board, if you will, and just totally bypass your parents and be like, I don't want to stand on the thing to exercise, I want to use the controller. So you can do that too. And so anyway, that's what eventually became that. That started out as that, and it's very hard to do, because it can only take so much weight. It's like, think of it as a pedestal. You've got this big fat top base on this teeny tiny stick, and you're just like this, woo, woo. But anyway, underneath this mess, I've got, because this tub is full. Oh crap, hang on. Oh, fudge. It's full. Tons and tons of games. I kid you not, like 64 at least. Some are in boxes with instructions, like you saw with bowling in the game Surround and Space Invaders. I'm sure a lot of you remember playing Space Invaders, sitting there for hours on end at the arcades, plopping in quarters into the machines. And then of course you've got other controllers too, like some that are joysticks with buttons that you can fire at your opponent and things. It's good for, this one's good for Space Invaders. Some of these are similar, smaller ones with joysticks, and some of them are really big and fancy ones, like this monster right here. If your thumb gets tired on this end, got a firing mechanism up here, and I think there's a switch, possibly. No, my mistake. I thought there was a switch. Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, right there. Base and stick, and you can switch between whichever one you want to do. Whether you want to fire at the base, like I was doing, or you want to fire at the stick. I don't know. It's your preference and choice. But I got like two of these joysticks, bunch of these, and a bunch of these other joysticks. See? And buried beneath this, I've got some. If you remember looking at the front of this, it had paddles on it. And the paddles mean that these things can only spin in one direction. So you would spin, well, not one direction, but only go so far in one direction. You had to flip it back to the other direction. And then the red button fired the ball, and of course that's what you use to move around. But if you got one with cars on it, which I do have one of those buried in here. Oh, here's another type. The joystick, the Starfighter. Smaller, little more harder to handle joystick. And I noticed they all got a little rubber piece around the edge, but the Starfighters don't. They just got the metal. But anyway, or plastic, whatever, but buried beneath here somewhere. Big Doug, Haunted House, another copy of Space Invaders. I got a couple copies of Space Invaders actually. Maze Craze and things like that. Buried beneath here. Asteroids, Pitfalls, Missile Command. I got a couple copies of those. I got Pinball. Buried beneath all that, if you can see it, is another Atari 2600. When I got this thing off of eBay, it came with two of them, and only some of these games. I had to buy some more of these games separately, but I've got at least 64 games in here for people to play, and people actually do play them. Last time I had a video game meetup for the San Diego Asperger's meetup group, it was at least 2+ years ago that I had a video game party here, but I brought down the Atari stuff, and there was actually a lot of people wanting to play the Atari, because they saw how simple it was. Even people who didn't play video games stepped up to the plate, and they got hooked. They're like, where can I get one of these? And I just said, eBay, man. Keep looking. They're all on eBay. And I think somewhere in here, if I got it, see, that's more of the Atari itself. Shoot, where is it? Damn it. Here's one. No, it's paddles. What the fudge? Okay, I want to show you guys the car racing paddles, but I don't seem to see them. Which is odd, because you'd think I would put them all in the same box. I mean, when I did the other video, you saw everything was in the same box. So, you know, it's not like I would get them and run away, but... Let's see if I can see them. Oh, here's one. See, they got the picture of a car on it, and it's got the Atari logo, and this one is a little bit different, sort of. You use the red button this time to step on the gas, and if you notice, the wheel turns all the way around in a 360 degrees and just keeps going. That's so you can drive, and if you want to make, you know, U-turns or something like that, I don't know why you would, but, you know, I've got, you know, but you can do that, and I've got a couple car racing games in here, and like I said, several more copies of other games too. I got Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, another copy of Video Pinball, Baseball, Basketball, Boxing I think is in here somewhere, Missile Command, there's another copy, Berserker, Super, Breakout, Defender, Kaboom, something to do with a nuclear reactor and you gotta stop it from exploding or something like that. Let's see, here's Missile Command. Oh, here's like 2 copies of Missile Command right here. Moon Patrol, like I said, surrounds in here, and Laser Blast and things like that. And about the Atari itself, you got ports for 1 controller port. You can have two controller ports, but some of the games require 4 people, so you can do, you know, like I said, those paddles are connected together with 2 of them, so you got 2 paddles to 1 plug, so you plug in 1 plug, and you've got plug in 1 end, and you've each got a controller, all on the same cord, basically. And same thing with the other one, but you can also switch on the back here. You can switch between TV channels and the difficulty on your game. There's where the power goes. Another difficulty setting. Now, in front of these things, because they're always so sensitive sometimes, you can switch between, well, you can power the unit on and off from here. Color type, you want color TV or do you want black and white TV? Sometimes it's a game setting, you know, harder, easier, and other times it's like color TV or black and white TV, like actually what it says. That's where the cartridges goes in. It's actually, VCS was the original name for it, Video Computer System, and then it just somehow ended up being the, it's a long story for that one. I'd advise you to look it up, but anyway, it was the VCS, and then Atari 2600, I think, or I don't know. I have to go back and read my video game history book, but you've got game select over here. You know, game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever setting the game is, and you know, game select. You select that game, kind of like a start button, so to speak. And some of these games that come with the instructions. Here's what I mean by game settings. You got, take the game surround, for instance. At some point in the manual, they always go like this. You know, they'll tell you how to play it, and the objective, and things like that, and how to use the controllers, what controllers to use. And at some point, it'll go like this. whoops, it'll go like this, and it'll show, you know, here's some of the games, here's some of the games. It'll tell you which games are what, and it'll number them too. And it'll say, here's the names of the games. You go over here, game select matrix, and it's got all these different colors on it. And what these colors mean is that the purple row is for the name of the game in this case, and then of course at the end, video graffiti, which is this one, where you don't even play a game, you just basically draw on your television screen, like I guess early bird art. I'm not sure. You only had one color, that one, so it's like, you know, your little paddles that you normally run around and use to create the lines and things in this game. They all put out the same color, and the objective of this game, by the way, is your little blue dot or the pink dot, depending on what color it is, zooms around the screen and it outputs this little line or web, as you see here, kind of, or here. I don't know if that helped. And the idea is to surround your opponent so that he either runs into himself or runs into your line, and the first one to like 8, 10, or 12, I'm not sure which, wins. But anyway, back to this. The blue line is the game number, and it tells you, you know, what game it is, 1, 2, up until 14 in this case. And that's what you use the game select function for, is you select, you know, what game number, and below that is the number of players. You know, it'll say 1-2, which means game 1, 2 players, or 2-1, game 2, 1 player, and you go down, you pick the game number, and the number after it will tell you how many players it can hold. And in the case of video graffiti, 1 or 2 for both of them. The yellow is the option to have your little line speed up. Light orange is diagonal movement, orange is erase, and red is wraparound, and that's why all these things are marked out. So when you go down the line and you pick up the game number, say for example game 12 on surround, which is game number 12, 2 people, includes speed up. The yellow dot is therefore indicates. The brighter orange dot also says diagonal movement. The orange dot is erase, and the red dot is wraparound. So you've got all 4 options to choose, options set into that particular game, and that's what you would do. Is you'd take that, you'd say, okay, I want game 12 with 2 people. So you go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Click, and then you start playing your game. And that's basically about it for this system. Like I said, I've got 64 plus games, and people who are not avid video game people, or even people, I bet you, like Kowalski, who probably doesn't play much video games. I don't know, I've never exactly asked him, but even he might like this. You know, it's something simple. You can sit down, you can play against your friends, you can talk while you're doing it too. You don't got to concentrate that much. Well, except for Pong. I've seen people try talking during Pong, family members, and they just, you know, they lose it or something. It's like, you know, get off my paddle. Whoa, you're supposed to be defending our side. You know, but that's basically it about the whole Atari 2600. I mean, it's the oldest system I've got in the fleet. It's been around since the 70s, for crying out loud. You know, I've got a huge, big-ass tub that's on wheels for this thing. 64 freaking games, lots of controllers, lots of stuff, and there's still functions and features that I'm hunting down for this. I mean, it's like there's other games that I like, and there's like funky-ass controllers that I can get too for this thing. I mean, it's not very difficult, but you know, anyway, that's the that's the basics of this. Again, I'm sorry if I failed to cover it in my earlier video game thing, but I figured 15 minutes on the Atari might be a little much when you add 8 minutes on top of everything else. That's like a 20-minute video. Who wants to sit and watch that? But anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully someday you'll be over here, or I'll be over there playing against you on Pong or something.